In the galaxy far, far away, the decisive moment in the Chancellor's office took a different course. Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi Knight tormented by conflicting loyalties, faced the fateful choice that would alter the galaxy forever. As Mace Windu raised his lightsaber to deliver justice to the seemingly defeated Chancellor Palpatine, Anakin's mind raced, consumed by fear for Padme's life, distrust of the Jedi, and disillusionment with the Sith's manipulative allure. But in this alternate moment, Anakin acted with devastating clarity, cutting down both the Jedi Master and the Dark Lord in one swift, decisive move. Mace Windu fell first, his grim determination no match for Anakin's sudden strike. Shock registered on his face as his weapon fell, followed by his lifeless form. Palpatine, a master manipulator who had orchestrated the galaxy's turmoil, barely had time to react before Anakin turned his blade upon him. A powerful slash silenced the Sith Lord's schemes forever. The room fell into eerie silence, save for the faint hum of Anakin's lightsaber. Anakin stood amidst the wreckage, panting as the weight of his actions bore down on him. In that moment, the choice to eliminate both the Jedi and Sith influence crystallized in his mind. He had long felt like a pawn in their endless struggle, a conflict that had cost the galaxy its peace and countless lives. Anakin resolved that neither order would shape the future. With Sidious dead and Mace gone, he realized he now held the power to reshape the galaxy on his own terms. The clones, bred for absolute obedience, became the instrument of his vision. Anakin knew he could not dismantle the Jedi Order through open confrontation alone. He needed the military precision and unwavering loyalty of the clone army to execute his plan. Issuing a direct order under the guise of fulfilling the Chancellor's final command, he activated a variation of Order 66, targeting the Jedi while simultaneously purging any remaining traces of Sidious's network. The clones moved with ruthless efficiency across the galaxy, catching the Jedi completely off guard. Temple after temple fell as Anakin's strategy unfolded. Unlike the carnage wrought by the Sith, Anakin avoided unnecessary bloodshed where possible, seeking to disable the Jedi rather than annihilate them. But for those who resisted, the response was swift and final. Anakin led the assault on the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, his former comrades overwhelmed not only by his skill but by the sheer numbers of the clone forces. The temple's halls echoed with the clash of lightsabers and the anguished cries of those caught in the crossfire. Anakin cut through opposition with cold precision, his face an expressionless mask as he severed the ties to his former life. He spared only a handful of Jedi he believed could be persuaded to follow him. These were the ones he saw as pragmatic or disillusioned enough to understand his vision of a galaxy free from the oppressive dogma of both the Jedi and Sith. Meanwhile, the dismantling of Sidious's shadowy empire commenced. With the Sith Lord dead, his network of spies, agents, and loyalists became a vulnerable target. Anakin tasked the clones with hunting down these remnants, severing their control over key sectors. The operatives who had once ensured the Sith's stranglehold on power were swiftly neutralized, their influence extinguished in the same fire that consumed the Jedi Order. Anakin's grip on Coruscant tightened as he positioned himself as the arbiter of a new order. The Senate, leaderless after Palpatine's demise, was paralyzed with fear and uncertainty. Anakin seized the opportunity to declare himself the sole authority, justifying his actions as necessary for the galaxy's stability. Though his rule was far from democratic, it was not rooted in the Sith's hunger for domination. Instead, Anakin envisioned a galaxy unified under a singular purpose: peace through strength and the eradication of ideologies that bred perpetual conflict. In the days that followed, Anakin found himself haunted by the ghosts of his past. The faces of Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and even Palpatine appeared in his dreams, challenging him to confront the enormity of his choices. Yet he remained steadfast, believing that his actions, however brutal, were justified in the name of a greater good. In his mind, the Jedi and Sith were relics of a bygone era, their philosophies incompatible with the galaxy's need for harmony and order. As the Jedi survivors scattered across the galaxy, they grappled with the impossible reality of their downfall. Some, like Yoda, sought refuge in isolation, hoping to bide their time until the tides shifted. Others attempted to rally pockets of resistance, though their efforts were quickly quashed by Anakin's relentless forces. Among the scattered Jedi, whispers began to circulate of Anakin's vision, a galaxy where neither Jedi nor Sith held sway. These whispers sparked debates among the survivors. Was Skywalker a savior who had transcended their ancient quarrels, or a tyrant no different from the Sith he had slain? Anakin's ambition extended beyond the immediate destruction of his enemies. He worked to rebuild the galaxy, directing resources to worlds ravaged by war. He commissioned the clones to not only serve as enforcers but also to assist in reconstruction efforts. Factories churned out supplies instead of weapons, and fleets were repurposed for trade and relief missions. Slowly, Anakin began to reshape the galaxy into the vision he had dreamed of since the Clone Wars, one of stability, free from the chaos perpetuated by rival factions. Yet, even as Anakin sought to consolidate his vision, cracks began to form. The galaxy, long accustomed to centuries of ideological conflict, struggled to adapt to his new order. Old rivalries persisted, and whispers of rebellion simmered beneath the surface. Some citizens saw Anakin as a liberator, while others viewed him as a dictator who had simply traded one tyranny for another. The moral ambiguity of his actions created rifts even among his closest allies. Those Jedi he had spared began to question their allegiance, wondering if their survival had come at the cost of their principles. Anakin himself was not immune to doubt. Despite his outward confidence, he often wrestled with the sacrifices he had made. Padme, whose love had been the catalyst for his descent, became a source of solace and torment. Though he had saved her life, their relationship strained under the weight of his actions. Padme, ever the advocate for diplomacy and democracy, found it difficult to reconcile her ideals with Anakin's brutal methods, even if she understood his motives. The galaxy continued to change under Anakin's rule, but whether it was for better or worse remained uncertain. The eradication of the Jedi and Sith created a vacuum, one that Anakin struggled to fill with his vision of order. As he navigated the delicate balance between power and morality, the question lingered. Could peace truly be achieved through such ruthless means, or was the galaxy doomed to repeat the cycles of conflict that had defined its history? Anakin's legacy was one of profound contradiction. He had broken free from the chains of destiny, refusing to be a pawn in the eternal struggle between light and dark. Yet, in doing so, he had become something new, neither Jedi nor Sith, but a ruler forged in the crucible of their destruction. Whether the galaxy would remember him as a hero or a villain depended not on his intentions, but on the outcome of the fragile peace he had fought so ruthlessly to create. Anakin Skywalker stood at the apex of his conquest, his once pure heart hardened by the fires of betrayal and war. The galaxy lay under his command, its institutions shattered and rebuilt in his vision. The Jedi, once guardians of peace, were no more. The Sith, with their insidious manipulation, had been eradicated. Anakin believed he had broken the eternal cycle of light and dark, forging a path where he alone dictated the galaxy's future. But even as he secured his grip on Coruscant and the wider galaxy, a whisper from the depths of his soul called him to an ancient and otherworldly destination: Mortis. Mortis, the enigmatic realm of the Force, had once been a battlefield where Anakin encountered his destiny. There, he had stood before the Father, the Daughter, and the Son, primordial embodiments of the Force's balance, light, and dark. Though he had left that place, its mysteries lingered in his mind, haunting him in dreams and visions. Now, with the galaxy seemingly subdued, Anakin felt the pull stronger than ever. He knew his destiny was not complete. To truly bring order to the galaxy, he needed to return to Mortis and confront the truth of his role in the Force. Leaving Coruscant in the hands of trusted commanders, Anakin embarked on a solitary journey. The journey to Mortis was fraught with difficulty, as the location of the realm was elusive, hidden in the folds of space and time. Yet, guided by an unshakable instinct and a deep connection to the Force, Anakin eventually found his way back. As his ship emerged from hyperspace, the ethereal monolith that housed Mortis appeared before him, its colossal form suspended against a backdrop of stars. The sight filled him with awe and trepidation, reminding him of the power and mystery that awaited. Stepping onto Mortis once more, Anakin felt the Force swell around him, more potent and overwhelming than anywhere else in the galaxy. The realm itself seemed alive, a pulsating nexus of energy responding to his presence. He wandered through the surreal landscapes, his mind flooded with memories of his previous visit. He recalled the daughter's purity, the son's malevolence, and the father's desperate plea for balance. Anakin now understood that their struggle mirrored his own, and perhaps the galaxy's fate had always been tied to Mortis. At the heart of the realm, Anakin found the throne of balance, the seat where he had once been asked to take his place as the chosen one. The chamber pulsed with energy, its ancient symbols glowing faintly as he approached. This time, there was no father to guide him, no daughter or son to challenge him. The realm was eerily silent, as if waiting for him to act. Anakin climbed the steps of the throne and stood before it, his mind racing with the enormity of the moment. Sitting upon the throne, Anakin felt the Force surge through him in a way he had never experienced before. The energy of Mortis poured into him, illuminating every fiber of his being. Memories and visions flooded his mind, scenes of the past, present, and possible futures. He saw the Jedi Order, noble yet flawed, bound by their rigidity and hubris. He saw the Sith, consumed by their ambition, perpetuating endless suffering. He saw the galaxy itself, torn between these warring ideologies, never knowing true peace. In that moment, Anakin understood his true purpose. He was not meant to serve the Jedi or the Sith. He was not merely a warrior or a ruler. He was the fulcrum of the Force, the one destined to bring balance. But balance, he realized, was not the destruction of one side or the dominance of the other. True balance required transcending the duality of light and dark, uniting them into a singular harmony. The realization was both liberating and terrifying. Anakin felt the weight of the galaxy's history and future pressing upon him, but he also felt the power to shape it. As the energies of Mortis merged with his being, he became something more than human, a living embodiment of the Force itself. His eyes burned with a radiant glow, his voice resonated with the echoes of eternity, and his presence rippled through the galaxy. Mortis responded to Anakin's ascension. The skies above the realm shifted, displaying scenes of the galaxy under his rule. He saw worlds rebuilding, people thriving, and conflicts diminishing. Yet, he also saw the seeds of unrest, the lingering doubts of those who questioned his authority. Balance was not a static state. It was a constant effort, a delicate dance that required vigilance and understanding. Anakin accepted this truth, vowing to dedicate himself to the ceaseless task of maintaining harmony. In his newfound state, Anakin reached out through the Force, touching the minds of beings across the galaxy. His presence was not oppressive or overbearing, but a guiding hand, subtly influencing leaders and citizens alike to embrace unity and cooperation. The Jedi survivors who had eluded his purge felt his presence and were faced with a choice: to resist and cling to their old ways or to accept the new reality he offered. Similarly, remnants of the Sith's followers, those who had survived the destruction of Sidious's network, found their influence withering under the weight of Anakin's will. Anakin's transformation did not erase his humanity. He remained acutely aware of his flaws, his past mistakes, and the pain he had caused. Padme's face lingered in his mind, a reminder of why he had taken this path. Though he could not undo the suffering he had inflicted, he resolved to use his power to prevent further harm. His love for Padme, his memories of Obi-Wan, and his bond with his children Luke and Leia became anchors that kept him grounded in his mission. As time passed, the galaxy began to change in ways both subtle and profound. Wars diminished not through fear, but through the gradual erosion of the ideologies that had fueled them. Planets once divided by centuries of conflict found common ground, their leaders inspired by a sense of purpose they could not fully explain. The Force itself seemed calmer, its currents less turbulent, as if reflecting the equilibrium Anakin had brought to Mortis. Yet, Anakin knew his work was far from done. The balance he had achieved was not a permanent victory but a fragile state that required constant care. From his throne on Mortis, he watched over the galaxy, a silent guardian who guided without dominating, influenced without enslaving. He had become more than a man, more than a Jedi or Sith. He was the chosen one, the bridge between light and dark, and the keeper of the galaxy's delicate balance. And so, the galaxy continued to turn, its people forging their paths under the watchful eye of Anakin Skywalker, the one who had transcended destiny to bring an enduring peace.